No one ever talks about the sounds. They talk about the body. They talk about the wire. They talk about the eyes. But no one talks about the sounds. Because if they did, they'd understand it wasn't just a killing. It was a sermon. Before the cornfield, before the crows learned his name, there was a man everyone knew and no one respected. Alec Burrows. You could hear him before you saw him. Bottle in hand. Voice too loud. A laugh that didn't belong anywhere decent. He was the kind of man who made a scene just to prove he existed. The kind who leaned too close when he talked. The kind who said things he shouldn't. About women. About God. About anything that might get a reaction. He showed up to church sometimes. Not to pray. Not to listen. Just to be seen. Boots up on the pew. Interrupting sermons. Malachi's talking again, he'd slur. Wonder if God's listening this time. People laughed nervously, then looked away. Because Alec wasn't just an embarrassment. He was something worse. A man who rotted out loud. Malachi noticed. He noticed everything. And then he started watching. At first it was nothing. A shadow across the street. A figure standing just a little too still outside Murphy's Tavern. Gone the second Alec turned his head. Alec blamed the drink. He always did. But then it happened again. Late one night. Alec stumbled out of the bar, laughing to himself, bottle still in hand. Cold air slapped him across the face. He welcomed it, needed it. Then he stopped. Someone was behind him. Not footsteps, not movement, just presence. A shape stood beneath the flickering streetlight. Tall. Still. Wrong. Alec squinted. "Hey!" he called. Nothing. He took a step forward. The light buzzed overhead, flickered once, and the shape was gone. Alec let out a shaky laugh. Yeah. Okay. But he didn't slow down this time. The next night, he saw him again, across the street, standing in front of the church, hands folded, head slightly tilted, watching. Alec frowned. "Get a life, preacher," he shouted, flipping him off. No reaction. The man didn't move, didn't blink, didn't shift. He just watched. Too long. Long enough for something cold to crawl up the back of Alec's neck. Alec looked away first. After that, the feeling never left. It followed him home. Inside the quiet of his house, the silence felt crowded. Alec would wake in the middle of the night, absolutely certain someone was standing in the corner of his room, watching him breathe. He'd scramble for the lamp. Turn it on. Nothing there. But sometimes the window would be open. Sometimes the chair would be slightly out of place. Sometimes there were footprints on the floor. Not muddy, not wet. Just impressions. Like someone had been standing there for hours, watching. Alec started drinking earlier, heavier, desperate to drown out the noise building in his head. Because now he could hear something. Not words. Not yet. Just a whisper. Low. Constant. Almost beneath hearing. Waiting. Days passed. The sightings got closer, 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 closer. Until one night, Alec opened his front door and froze, across the street, beneath the dim glow of a dying street lamp. Malachi stood. Clear now. Not a shadow. Not a trick of the light. A man. Hands folded, head tilted, watching him. Alec felt his stomach drop. "What the hell do you want?" he muttered. Malachi didn't answer. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched. And for the first time, Alec didn't laugh it off. He felt seen. Not the way strangers see you in passing. Something deeper. Like being looked through. Measured. Judged. Alec slammed the door shut. Locked it. Checked every window. Pulled every curtain closed. But even in the dark, he knew. Knew with a certainty that settled into his bones. He wasn't alone. And maybe He hadn't been alone for a very long time. Sometime during the night, the whisper changed. It wasn't distant anymore. It was right behind him. Soft, patient. Soon, the next night, Alec didn't see Malachi at all. And somehow, that was worse. Because for the first time, the watching stopped. And deep beneath the fear, beneath the alcohol, beneath everything he'd spent years avoiding, Alec understood. That meant it was time. That night, the doors were locked. They swear they were locked. And Alec Burrows woke up on the church floor. Cold. His head throbbed. His body felt heavy, numb, wrong. The smell hit him first. Blood. Too much blood. Candles flickered around him, throwing long shadows across the walls. And there, standing at the altar, Malachi. Still. Watching. No. 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 Alec tried to move. Nothing. He looked down. His wrists. No. Metal. Nails dripping clean through them. A wet gasp caught in his throat. This isn't real. This is a dream. Wake up. Pain answered. A deep, pulsing agony tore through his arms, alive, real, growing. Malachi stepped closer, slow, measured. You see it now, he said softly. You've been watching me. You've been there the whole time. Oh, God. Alec tried to scream. The wire tore into his mouth. A burst of white-hot pain exploded across his face. The sound never came out, only a strangled, wet gurgle. Malachi watched him carefully, not with anger, not with hatred, with interest, like a man observing something finally behaving the way it was meant to. You had your voice, Malachi said gently, and you wasted it. The hammer rose. Alec's eyes widened. No. The strike came down. The nail drove deeper. Alec felt the sound more than he heard it. Bone splitting, flesh tearing. His body jerked violently, his throat convulsed. I'm going to die. The thought hit him clean and terrifying. I'm going to die right here. Another strike. Pain swallowed everything. No thoughts, no words, just sensation. Malachi exhaled slowly, almost relieved. Be still, he murmured. Make it stop. Make it stop. Make it stop. But it only got worse. Malachi moved to his legs. Alec's eyes widened. No, please. The first break came with a wet snap. His body convulsed violently. I can't. The second break followed, and something inside Alec shattered with it. His thoughts fragmented, slipped apart. Pain became everything. Malachi tilted his head, listening, waiting for something. Alec's breathing turned ragged, wet, shallow. His vision darkened at the edges. Please. Not even words anymore. Just need. Malachi reached for the wire. Alec's eyes locked onto him. Desperate. Help me. Malachi smiled wider this time. Not cruel. Grateful. You understand now, he whispered. The wire tightened. It tore deeper through flesh. Alec's body spasmed. His throat convulsed. But no sound came. Nothing could come. His world narrowed, collapsed, to pain, to breath, to the man standing in front of him, smiling, and then nothing. By morning, the cornfield would speak for him, and the man who walked away was no longer Malachi. He stood at the edge of the road, clothes stiff with drying blood, hands still, eyes distant. Inside his pocket rested a folded map, marked, chosen. He opened it slowly and studied the name written there. Ashford, New Hampshire. The wind shifted. The crows gathered. For the first time, he smiled. Malachi's time has come, he whispered. A pause. A breath. Something settling inside him. Something final. But the judgment. His eyes lifted, cold, certain, unforgiving, now belongs to Elijah. The crows took flight, and somewhere far away, a church bell rang. Wrong. By morning, the field was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't belong to nature. The wind moved first. A slow whisper passed through miles of dry corn, bending the stalks in soft rhythmic waves. The rising sun bled red and gold across the horizon, casting long shadows between the rows, like thin fingers reaching for something unseen. At the edge of the field stood a crooked wooden sign. Its paint was chipped, weather-worn, forgotten, still readable. He who sows in sin shall reap in ruin. The crows had already gathered. Dozens at first, then hundreds, perched along fence posts, power lines, dead branches, watching, waiting. Something deeper in the field had drawn them. Something still. Something wrong. If you followed the narrow path through the stalks, if you ignored the dry leaves scraping against your arms and whispering in your ears, you would find it. A clearing, perfectly still, and at its center, a figure. At a distance, it almost looked peaceful, like a scarecrow placed too early in the season, arms stretched wide, head bowed slightly forward in silent prayer. But the closer you got, the more the illusion broke apart. It wasn't Straw. It was Alec Burrows, or what was left of him. His wrists had been nailed through rough wood, arms spread across a horizontal beam. Not tied, not restrained, pinned. His legs bent at angles. Legs were never meant to bend. Whatever had been done to them, it hadn't been quick. The bones had given way slowly, reluctantly, until they could no longer hold him upright. He hung there like something unfinished, like something broken on purpose. His mouth, God. Barbed wire had been threaded through it, not wrapped around it, not used as a gag, stitched. It carved through his lips in jagged lines, pulling them back into a grotesque, permanent smile. Dried blood crusted along his chin and neck. The flies found him first, then the ants. His eyes were still open, wide, frozen, as if whatever he'd seen in his final moments had refused to let him close them. Pinned to his chest was a single piece of parchment, aged, carefully written. Woe unto him who speaks falsely in the house of the Lord. Beneath it sat a hand-drawn cross. The wind passed through the clearing again, soft, unbothered. Alec's body shifted slightly with it, just enough that, for one awful second, it almost looked like he was still alive. A lone raven descended from above. Its wings cut through the silence with slow, deliberate flaps. It landed beside Alec's head, tilted its neck, studied him. Then it pecked, soft at first, testing. Its beak pressed against Alec's eyelid. The skin gave way. The raven didn't hesitate. Around them the field remained unchanged, golden, calm, unaware. Until morning came. A rooster crowed somewhere in the distance. Sunlight spilled across the dew-covered ground, and from the edge of the field, a man approached, old, worn down, carrying a metal thermos in one hand, walking the same path he walked every morning, until he stopped. Something wasn't right. The crows. Too many. Too quiet. The stalks ahead shifted slightly, parted, and then he saw it. The thermos slipped from his hand and struck the dirt with a hollow clang. He didn't move, didn't breathe, couldn't understand what he was seeing until it became real. Oh, sweet Jesus. The words barely escaped him. Then the scream came, raw, unfiltered, torn from somewhere deep inside him. It cut through the field, through the wind, through the morning light, carried farther than it should have. And somewhere beyond the corn, beyond the road, beyond the edge of that small, forgotten town, something heard it and smiled, because the sermon had been delivered, and the next one had already been chosen, Ashford, New Hampshire. He would arrive there soon, not as Malachi, but as something greater, something final, Elijah. And when he spoke, they would listen or they would be silenced.